Hey guys, this is Pat from Rain Country. God is good all the time. Well, today I'm starting to take care of a few little projects that's been waiting to be taken care of for quite a while. And if you guys remember, we got our stainless steel water tank a few months ago. The excavator doesn't have the ability to lift and hold that much weight. That tank's quite a bit of weight. So I have to lift that one end at a time in order to move it. So what I plan on doing is I'll plan on building some skids for that, so it'll be easier to move around. I plan on making that out of 8x10s, and that should be plenty sturdy enough to dragging and moving it around a little bit. I have to cut those on the mill, so I'll show you that start to finish. When I actually got the tank, two of the legs over here were in reverse. The way this particular milk tank was made, the leg closest to the back of the tank is 16, and the leg closest to the front or the outlet of the tank is 13 inches. So the 14 and the 15-inch legs were reversed, and they were all askew. So right now what I figured, in order to make those things equal distance apart, I figured 42 inches on center for each one of those upright posts to go down from start to finish. So what I had to do is I had to lift it up as far as I could lift it with the boom, and the limiter would kick in to where I just couldn't lift anymore. So what I did was I took the blade and I put the blade down, and it actually gave me enough lift, but the hydraulics was actually allowing the cylinders to lower, so I had to lift it up as high as I could by pushing down on the front blade, and jumped in the truck and then took off, and then just let it sink down, let it set itself down onto the rocks there. And that's where it's been setting for a couple of months now. So anyway, what I plan on doing is building a couple of nice skids for this, or runners, so I can mount those legs to that runner. The tank actually just sits on those legs. It's not fastened in any way. It's just got the weight of the tank supporting it. In order to lift, I had to lower the blade down to where the tracks would actually lift off the ground, and that would give me enough lift on my boom and actually to lift up the whole tank in order to get it off of the trailer. It lifts it just fine, just one end at a time. That's how we made some adjustments to the legs so I could figure out the spacing in between each one, and that's 42 inches on center and with a couple of inches to spare on the end. So if I make the runners 14 feet long and make them out of 8x10s, then that should take the weight and be sufficient enough for me to move the, skid the container around a little easier, and I can winch it on the trailer. So my idea is, on the very ends of the boards that I cut, I'm going to make cut wedges in the bottom, or cut wedges out of the bottom, so they'll be able to skid around. And I'll show you all that when I go to build them. Cody almost ate a deer. He chased a deer off, barking like crazy. Still looking at him. Still looking for him. Anyway, what I've done so far is I have laid out in equal portions the distance between each one of these legs, and I just duplicated each one of these beams. I slid them together, obviously, and so I just did them all at the same time. Scribed lines across where the pads of the stainless steel feet are going to be on each one of the four stanchions for the container, and laid these out in a grid, 47 inches between outside to outside pad. First found center, so, and then I drew everything back from there and then back from there. So when I'm finished, the distance between the last pad and the first pad on the other side is going to be an equal distance out to the edge of the skid. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm just laying this out. Did you get him, Cody? Huh? Did you get that deer? Does he not belong here? Huh? You think he don't belong here, huh? And then 1.5 inches back off of each edge. That gives me 5 inches for each pad. So I'm just going to draw in where I need to cut, chisel, or however means that I seem the best. And so now I just have to determine how I'm going to cut these out. Let's see, that one there is going to be flush on top. This next one's going to be 1 inch low. This is going to be 2 inches low, and that's going to be 3 inches low. So I got to make a square hole 3 inches low there, a square hole 2 inches low here, a square hole 1 inch low there, and then that one's going to be parallel to the surface. I might recess that one in just a little bit to compensate for the depth of the pad, and then I'd have to telescope that clear through the remainder of these. So that would be like 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch or something of that nature. So that would be 3 1/4, 2 1/4, 1 1/4, and then 1/4. So anyway, I'll figure out how to do that and get started. Well guys, now I'm down to my last one. This one here has to be 2 3/16 inches deep. That one over there, I was able to use the bigger, I got a 1/2 inch router that I can go down to 2 3/16 of an inch, and so that's enough to finish up this one back here, and then the one on the other opposite side here. I was able to do all these with a router. I started out using this little guy, and this is a battery operated router. I kind of wanted to see how it would work out. It works out great. We got a generator set up out here, and I'm running my 1/2 inch router, and that makes fairly short work of this with that 3/4 inch boring bit on there. So I can bore down to 2 3/16, and then I have to go the old-fashioned way with a chisel and a mallet. It's just a soft blow mallet, and get the extra inch down to that depth that I need for that taller leg. So that's what I'm doing now. Thought I'd bring you along for the last hole I got to bore. I have to take the hole down in a couple of different layers because of this little stair step here. Take it about halfway. Depth's not too critical at this point. Okay, that was the easy part. Now, I guess you got to take some time and carve out the hole another inch down, and we'll be ready to go for our next step on this. All I'm doing here is squaring the holes up, taking that 3/4 of an inch round corner off of there at radius. Now, I'm not trying to make these things perfect. Matter of fact, the rougher they are, the better holding power it's going to have if I put like some sort of a epoxy or glue of some sort to make the legs solid in here so where they don't move. And it's actually stair-stepped in about, oh, maybe 1/8 of an inch, and so it's flared on the bottom a little bit, so it's going to actually key in the feet if I put the leg of the support in here and then fill that full of epoxy, then water won't stand in here and help cause this to rot. There's just a little bit of rot happening on the ends of these boards here on each end. So I'm hoping to seal these up and put some sort of a anti-rotting agent on these to help keep them for as long as I can. Nothing lasts forever around here, or anywhere for that matter, but this place in particular, we have a lot of rain, and it has a tendency to rot things pretty quick around here. If you're not careful, you don't take measures to seal things up or keep things dry. I actually made this hole just a little bit bigger. I kind of colored outside the lines, making this about 1/8 of an inch larger than the actual pad itself of the foot. So hopefully if there's any deviation in the welds, or the feet are bent or whatever, then hopefully that little bit of extra room will help to make the stanchions fit inside of these holes. Okay, so what the reason for the 2x6s was to have cross members going across. These are full sawn 2x6s, not 1.5 by 5.5. Full sawn 2x6s are going to be additional cross members for the skids. And one might say, well, you've got these right here for the feet, and the feet are stainless steel. But yeah, that's all fine and good for the support, but for lateral movement back and forth, I want additional support here. So having the 2x6s embedded, or dadoed in, I guess you might say, recessed into the tops of the cross members, or the skids, then I can have more support this way and also lateral movement this way. So if you're pulling or tugging this thing around, loading it on a trailer, picking it up, moving it, you're going to have torsional movement back and forth, and having these cross members, these wood cross members, are actually going to help in side to side support, vertical support this way, and when these are parallel, you want these not to move this way back and forth from each other, rocking this way either. So the idea is to give this additional support and strength. And so that's what I'm up to with the 2x6s. So what I have going on now is 6 inches back from the edge of each pad is going to be a 2x6. We'll be using the router to inlay or inset that 2x6. So we'll be cutting in a dado for the 2x6 to recess into. So what I have is I have the bit recessed down to 1 inch. So 1 inch up from the base is how deep that hole is going to be, or that trench, or that dado. So what I want to do is I want to have these be relatively straight across here, because I want to kind of seal this up. I got some wood life preservative. I'm going to coat this whole deal. And in order to get this a nice straight line across here, I got to put a fence up, or a fence down. And in order to do that, I need to know the distance that the fence has to ride up against the router base here. So we're looking at 3 1/8 of an inch from the edge of the carbide blade here to the edge of the router base. I have to go 3 1/8 inch away from the line, away from the finished dado edge to the edge of the fence in order to make me a router guide to something to bump up against and run a router on there. That'll give me a nice straight line, and it'll actually be a little faster as well. So when I get going here, I just run the router base up against the fence and start making my cut across here. Matter of fact, I'm going to get another one of these and put on the other side, so each time I move, I'll only have to move this 6 times. So I'm going to put I'll put a mark at 3 1/8 of an inch, so I know where to put the next fence or guide. 3 1/8 of an inch here. And get me another one of these. Okay, now I can't color outside the lines that way. Now you got a good idea. If you didn't know, that's what the purpose for these guides are, is to keep a good straight line here. And that 2x6, I'm going to use an adhesive, and then some 8-inch lag bolts, 2 per side, and fasten the 2x6s as cross members for torsional support. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and finish up the rest of these. I'll just move these over to the next. I got 6 of these to do total, 5 left. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera.